The warning is related to plant-based beverages, which can appear similar to milk. But as CTV's Michelle Gerwing shows you, when it comes down to nutritional value, they're not the same.
The plant milk industry is lying to your face. They're taking something that costs pennies to make, adding fillers that destroy your gut, and charging you premium prices while you think you're making the healthy choice. One brand everyone trusts? It failed every single test. You know what's sneaky? A wolf in sheep's clothing. But you know what's sneakier? A sugar bomb dressed up as health food. Silk oat milk sits in the refrigerator aisle looking all innocent. That pretty carton. Those calming colors. The word oat, right there, making you feel like you're basically eating a bowl of heart-healthy oatmeal. Except you're not. One glass contains 7 grams of added sugar. That's nearly 2 teaspoons. Sounds small, right? Well, drink 2 glasses a day, like plenty of folks do, and you're swallowing over 10 pounds of sugar per year from your healthy milk alternative. My doctor would have a field day with that math. Then there's the ingredients list. Natural flavors appears like it's no big deal. But here's the thing. That vague little term can hide dozens of chemical compounds. Manufacturers don't have to tell you what's actually in there. It's like ordering chef's surprise at a restaurant. Except the surprise is never good. The front label proudly says heart healthy. Flip it over, though. The back reveals it's mostly filtered water and processed starch. That's the nutritional equivalent of a participation trophy. And rapeseed oil? It's in there too. Some nutritionists argue it promotes inflammation, especially in older adults. Many customers report bloating after drinking it. The culprit? Maltodextrin, a cheap filler. But Silk isn't alone in this game, not even close. Califia Farms has become the darling of fancy coffee shops and Instagram influencers. That sleek, curved bottle looks like it belongs in a modern art museum. But here's what that pretty packaging is hiding. Independent testing found their almond milk contains roughly 2% actual almonds. 2%. You're paying $5.99 for a 48-ounce bottle of what is essentially expensive flavored water, with a hint of nut waving hello from across the room. I did the math once. Making almond milk at home costs about $1.50 for the same amount. So you're paying a $4 premium for convenience, marketing, that fancy bottle, and the ingredients don't stop at almonds and water. Locust bean gum, gellan gum. These thickeners give the milk body, but they can wreak havoc on sensitive stomachs. My neighbor switched to Califia and spent 2 weeks wondering why she felt bloated after breakfast. Here's something that really bugs me. Their unsweetened vanilla version isn't as innocent as it sounds. Those natural flavors mimic sweetness and can actually confuse your appetite hormones. Your brain thinks sugar is coming, but it never arrives, so you end up craving more. Oh, and those California almonds? Each single nut requires 1.1 gallons of water to grow in a drought-stricken region. That's not exactly the eco-friendly choice the branding suggests, but Califia isn't even the sneakiest offender on this list. That award goes to a brand hiding behind protein claims. Now here's where things get sneaky. A few months ago, I had no idea what a health ring even was until my fiancé got me one, and I have to say, I'm shocked this isn't a widely known and used product. It tracks my stress levels, and what I found out is that some supplements made my stress score spike, while others actually helped bring it down. I adjusted a few things based on that, and honestly, I feel 10 years younger. My wife mainly uses it to track her menstrual cycles, and she is obsessed with her sleep quality score. I noticed they are currently running a limited 69% discount, but I don't know how long it will last. It's currently only $60, and it's clear this one is the best bang for your buck, with other health rings priced around $350 with less functions. They managed to price it this low because they cut out the middleman like Amazon, Walmart, etc., who drive up the price and take a big margin, ending up with the customer paying 3 to 5 times more. If you are on TV, you can check it out yourself by pausing the video and scanning the QR code with your phone camera or clicking the first link in the description of this video. Ripple pea milk markets itself as the protein powerhouse of plant milks. 8 grams per serving. Sounds impressive, right? But flip that carton around. Sunflower oil sits at the third ingredient. That's processed omega-6 fat, and too much of it has been linked to increased inflammation throughout your body. Your joints don't need that kind of help aching. Then there's the sugar situation. Ripple's original version contains added sweetener, but they call it cane sugar, because that sounds like something your grandmother might have used. It's still sugar. Your pancreas doesn't care about fancy names. And that pea protein isolate everyone raves about? It doesn't grow on trees like that. The extraction process involves chemical solvents to separate the protein from the pea. What started as a simple legume becomes a heavily processed powder. I tried Ripple in my morning coffee once. The chalky residue that settled at the bottom looked like I'd stirred in some playground sand. Not exactly appetizing. Here's what really gets me, though. Ripple loves talking about their environmental credentials, but those pea protein processing plants? They generate significant industrial waste. The green marketing doesn't mention that part. The thick, creamy texture you're paying for? That comes from added gums, not nutritional density. It's texture theater. So we've covered sugar bombs, watered-down almonds, and inflammatory oils. But wait until you see what's lurking in the extra creamy options. Planet Oat calls their product extra creamy. Sounds fancy. Almost luxurious. But here's what that actually means. They're pumping in high oleic canola oil to fake the richness. It's not cream. It's not extra oats. It's processed vegetable oil tricking your tongue. And the sugar? 7 grams per cup. That's nearly 2 sugar cubes dissolving into your morning coffee before you've even added anything else. My dentist would have a field day. Now here's where it gets concerning for folks our age. The oats themselves are conventionally grown. Independent labs have detected glyphosate residue in oat-based products. That's the pesticide that's been making headlines for all the wrong reasons. You're pouring potential chemical residue right into your cereal bowl. Then there's the sodium, 100 milligrams per serving. That ranks among the highest for any plant milk on the market. For anyone watching their blood pressure, this adds up fast. But the ingredient that really caught my attention? Dipotassium phosphate. Sounds like something from a chemistry exam, right? It's an emulsifier. Keeps everything mixed together nicely. The problem, regular consumption can interfere with kidney function, especially in older adults whose kidneys are already working overtime. So, extra creamy really means extra processed, extra sweetened, and extra stuff your body doesn't need. The next brand might surprise you. It's the cheapest option at America's biggest retailer. And you get exactly what you pay for. Walmart's Great Value Almond Milk costs $2.48 for a half gallon. That's suspiciously cheap. And in the food world, suspiciously cheap usually means suspiciously bad. Here's the first red flag. Some Great Value formulations still contain carrageenan. This seaweed-derived additive has been linked to intestinal inflammation in animal studies. The FDA allows it, sure, but so did they allow trans fats for decades. Not exactly a ringing endorsement. Now let's talk calcium. The label proudly claims this milk is calcium fortified. Sounds healthy, right? Well, they're using calcium carbonate. That's literally ground up rocks. Your body absorbs it about as well as you'd absorb a geology lecture at 7 a.m. Calcium from actual food sources? Way more bioavailable. And the almond content? Testing showed Great Value contains even less actual almonds than name brands that were already mostly water. We're talking homeopathic levels of nut here. Then there's the vitamin D situation. They use D2 instead of D3. Research shows D2 is roughly 70% less effective at raising your blood vitamin D levels. So that fortified claim starts looking pretty hollow. The milk can sit on shelves for months without spoiling. That's not a feature. That's a warning sign that preservatives are doing heavy lifting your digestive system shouldn't have to deal with. But cheap store brands aren't the only problem. Even premium-priced options can disappoint, unless you know exactly what to look for. Now let's talk about what actually works. Malk might sound like a typo, but it's spelled that way on purpose. And honestly, the spelling is the weirdest thing about it. The ingredient list? 3 items: filtered water, organic almonds, and Himalayan salt. That's it. You can read the entire label faster than a sneeze. Here's what makes Malk different. They use sprouted almonds. Sprouting breaks down something called phytic acid, which normally blocks your body from absorbing minerals properly. For anyone over 50 with a digestive system that's, let's say, seen better days, this matters. Independent testing found Malk contains roughly 10% actual almonds by volume. Most competitors? Around 2%, so you're getting 5 times more real nut in every glass. But here's the trade-off. No gums, no oils, no emulsifiers. This means the milk separates naturally in your fridge. You'll need to shake it before pouring. My grandfather would call this milk that acts like milk used to. He's not wrong. Malk also cold presses their almonds instead of heat pasteurizing. This preserves more enzymes and nutrients that heat would normally destroy. A registered dietitian survey actually ranked Malk as the cleanest commercial plant milk you can buy in American stores. The catch? It costs more. Around $8 a bottle in most places. But Three Trees offers another clean option that might surprise you. Three Trees sounds like a hippie commune from the 60s. But their oat milk? It's what your grandmother would make if she had a blender and strong opinions about food purity. 4 ingredients. That's it. Organic oats, filtered water, organic maple syrup, and sea salt. I counted them twice because I couldn't believe a commercial product could be this simple. Here's where it gets interesting. Those oats are certified glyphosate-free through independent third-party testing. Not just organic slapped on the label. Actually, verified clean. That matters because conventional oat products have been caught with pesticide residues more times than I'd like to count. And that maple syrup? Way smarter than refined sugar. It hits your bloodstream slower, so you're not riding a glucose roller coaster before 9 a.m. Your pancreas will thank you. But the real magic is what stays in the bottle. Beta-glucan fiber. This is the compound researchers have actually proven helps lower LDL cholesterol. You know, the bad kind your doctor keeps nagging you about. Three Trees produces everything in small batches out in California. No industrial processing that strips away the good stuff. They even publish their full sourcing information online. Most brands guard that information like it's a state secret. Makes you wonder what they're hiding. Now, speaking of companies with nothing to hide, wait until you hear about the 92-year-old dairy that completely switched teams. Here's the thing about Elmhurst. They sold cow's milk for 92 years. Nearly a century in the dairy business. Then, in 2017, they looked at the industry, looked at where health trends were heading, and made a decision that shocked everyone. They shut down their entire dairy operation. A company older than sliced bread, literally, completely reinvented itself. That takes guts. And honestly, it paid off. Their secret weapon is something called hydro-release technology. Sounds fancy, right? It's actually beautifully simple. They use water pressure to crack open nuts and separate the proteins, fats, and fibers. No chemicals, no gums, no weird emulsifiers you can't pronounce. The result? Their milks contain 2 to 4 times more protein than competitors. Not because of added powders or isolates, because they actually use more nuts per bottle. Revolutionary concept, I know. Most brands filter out the natural fiber from nuts and toss it in the garbage. Elmhurst keeps it in. You're drinking the whole food, not just flavored water with a hint of nut. Their unsweetened versions contain 0 added sugars. And I mean genuinely 0. No sugar alcohols hiding in the fine print. No stevia. Nothing. But here's what really caught my attention. Their walnut milk delivers 1,400 milligrams of omega-3 fatty acids per serving. That's comparable to popping a fish oil capsule. Speaking of heart-healthy options, there's another brand that cardiologists specifically recommend. Here's where things get interesting. New Barn started with a simple question. What if we used coconut cream instead of those cheap vegetable oils everyone else dumps in? Turns out that one swap changes everything. See, most brands reach for canola or sunflower oil because it's dirt cheap. New Barn went the expensive route. Organic coconut cream gives you that rich mouthfeel without the inflammatory omega-6 overload. Your arteries will thank you. And they didn't stop there. This brand carries both USDA organic certification and non-GMO project verification. Getting one stamp is easy. Getting both, that's like passing your driving test and parallel parking perfectly on the first try. It takes effort. Now, coffee lovers, listen up. Their barista version actually froths. Real foam. No weird stabilizers doing chemical gymnastics in your cup. I've tried at least a dozen plant milks in my morning coffee, and most of them just sit there looking sad. But here's what really caught my attention. New Barn sources almonds from regenerative farms. These operations actually build soil health instead of draining California dry. Each serving delivers 4 grams of fat from whole food sources. That matters because fat helps your body absorb vitamins A, D, E, and K. The subtle sweetness? Dates. Not refined sugar. You get fiber and potassium as a bonus. Speaking of bonuses, the cheapest option might surprise you. Now here's where things get interesting. What if I told you the best plant milk isn't sitting on any store shelf? It's in your pantry right now. Homemade oat milk takes 90 seconds. I timed it. 1 cup of rolled oats, 4 cups of water, your blender, and something to strain it through. That's it. Your grandmother probably has a cheesecloth in a drawer somewhere that's been waiting its whole life for this moment. The cost? About 15 cents per glass. Compare that to $1.25 for the fancy stuff. Over a year, that's roughly $400 back in your pocket. Not bad for 90 seconds of work. But here's the secret the professionals don't advertise. Blend for only 30 seconds. Any longer, and the oats release too much starch, turning your milk into something resembling wallpaper paste. Nobody wants that in their coffee. And the best part? You control everything. No mysterious gums, no inflammatory oils, no natural flavors that could mean literally anything. Just oats and water doing their simple, honest job. Want it slightly sweet? Toss in a pitted date. Need some depth? A tiny pinch of salt works wonders. In blind taste tests, homemade versions have actually beaten Oatly, the king of oat milk, dethroned by someone's kitchen blender. It stays fresh for 4 days refrigerated. Just shake before using since separation is natural, and proof nothing weird is holding it together.